In this video, I plan to follow up on my previous video on Tatsumaki and talk about Zombieman, one of the shining heroes of the Monster Association arc. But why talk about Zombieman in the first place? Well, first and foremost, he's a straight up badass. The primary reason behind this statement is that blood follows him wherever he goes. When reading the panels in which Zombieman is engaged in fighting, you eventually tend to notice that he's almost always covered in blood. One reason for that are his inherent hero powers, regeneration, but I'll talk more about that later. Before I started doing research for this video, I did a blood and gore comparison of sorts between Zombieman's fights versus that of other heroes. Zombieman of course was on top of the competition by a long shot. When I actually started researching for this video, the Wikipedia entry for Zombieman confirmed my observations. It is said that the flowers of blood and slaughter blossom wherever he goes. Now, being covered in blood is one thing, but being torn apart, maimed, cut off, and having your middle torso blown off is another. While One Punch Man is a seinen that doesn't shy away from showing blood and gore, the fights of Zombieman have indeed taken up the bloodier route. Besides the fight where President Ugly rips apart Tank Top Master, the mantle of gory fights has been picked up undoubtedly by Zombieman. Speaking of President Ugly, seeing him pulverize the living daylights out of Tank Top Master was just painful to watch. The character design of Ugly, an almost elephant man-esque creature, just didn't make it a good viewing experience for me. During my research, I came across Tekken 101's video on Zombieman. In it, he made a specific remark just at the start of the video. He said he's found more fan arts of this guy more than any other character. Building up on that statement, there is a reason for that. The character design of Zombieman in and of itself is pleasing to the eye. I've only seen this shot of him in the anime, which isn't as detailed as it is in the manga. In the latter, he's extremely detailed. Whether he's searching for clues on Dr. Genus, his creator and antagonist turned takoyaki seller, or fighting against a Hellsing ripoff, his character design is up to mark. His aesthetics throughout his appearances prompted me to make this video. His story and fights were the second reason. The whole aura of Zombieman reminds me of characters in series like Psycho Pass and Monster. On the other hand, his cool, calm demeanor remind me of Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop. This is another reason why I felt attached to the character as opposed to the others. His character design is somewhat relatable and the audience can assume what his persona would be. But here lies the difference. While the design is similar to the characters I've mentioned before, the persona is not one that you would expect. This was something that surprised me the most. I honestly expected a tough-as-nails detective who has a no-nonsense attitude about him. Turns out that wasn't the case at all. He honestly showed no signs of being an alternative character who's tired of life and wants to be alone. When I say alt character, I mean someone who looks and acts like he's suffered a lot in the past. A good example is Spike Spiegel. When I describe a character who's given up on life, I mostly refer to guys like Detective Rust Cole from the series True Detective. Seeing the name and character design, one would assume that he would be similar, but no, he wasn't. In the Monster Association arc, he's shown to be a character who embraces the Hero Association message. He lives by the book. When the call to action is given, he takes it upon himself to investigate the root cause of the monsters being so emboldened and organized, having deep suspicions in his mind. When the fighting breaks out, he goes above and beyond to fight the monsters. If he was an apathetic character, he wouldn't be so inclined to fight. By this point, I've established that he's not the kind of character that he looks like. Now let's talk about the name Zombieman. Inhuman name, right? Even if he is inhuman since he was created in a lab, his humanity shines when he's willing to take blow after blow for the Hero Association, something that he, from a characteristic point of view, shouldn't be doing. But he does that for the greater good. Moreover, his relationship with Child Emperor doubles down on that. This is where I feel that Zombieman is as human as any of the other characters in the series. Child Emperor, while being an S-class hero, was seen to have doubts about his fighting ability. Of course, he was a child given a huge responsibility, so that's kind of realistic in a sense. But the way Zombieman brings him up and gives him confidence is something that's really worth analyzing. During the fighting, he's constantly in touch with Child Emperor, and vice versa. Both get updates on how they're doing. Zombieman, for his part, praises Child Emperor for his analysis, boosting his self-confidence and self-esteem as a fighter fighting amongst adults. In the coming fights, we can see Child Emperor fight with less doubt and more confidence. All of that is accredited to his own self-belief and the guy that gave him confidence, Zombieman. Now that we've covered his humanity amongst humans, it's equally important to discuss his various rampages against the monsters. Whenever the panel shifted to him starting his assault on the monsters, I was giddy with excitement. His fights were beautiful to watch, even with all the blood and gore involved. Let's analyze a bit of background. A fighter with the ability to regenerate himself multiple times, Zombieman became famous for a fight he had with the monster. Standard stuff, but it was a fight that lasted 140 hours. Also, he survived a week's onslaught from Carnage Kabuto, the same Carnage Kabuto who was pulverized to death by Saitama. Now onto the major fights. Zombieman took on Pure Blood, the Hellsing ripoff that I previously talked about. The vampire started with having the upper hand, but all of that changed when he expressed dismay at having drunk Zombieman's blood. Regardless, Pure Blood continues the assault, attacking Zombieman multiple times before finally realizing that this guy can't be beaten at all. The more he attacks, the more he gets back up. It's a stalemate. As somewhat of a power move, he proceeds to attack Zombieman with the swarm of bats. However, even that doesn't work on him. In a calm and collected manner, Zombieman tells Pure Blood to prepare for a battle of attrition, knowing full well that he will eventually tire out Pure Blood. 30 minutes later, Zombieman's statement holds true as he stands over a bloody pile of bodies with an axe slung over his shoulders. It was truly a sight to see in the manga. I was expecting Zombieman to lose the upper hand, but he didn't. Not getting a chance to rest after the fight, he is attacked by Metal Knights as robots. More specifically, they were robots repurposed by the monsters to attack the heroes. Cool, calm and collected, Zombieman again prepares for a long-winded onslaught. Though they were exciting, these fights didn't add much value to Zombieman's overall role in the series. They just built up to his reputation. It solidified all the expectations that we had for him. What really got Zombieman involved in the story was his fight against Homeless Emperor. A seemingly insignificant character, Homeless Emperor was the door through which the heroes realized the deeper mystery of their own universes. When Zombieman fought against him, the latter explained that his powers were a gift given to him by a higher power, a creature called God. Now, I didn't go into detail on Zombieman's investigations. Long story short, he met with Dr. Genus, found out the concept of the limiter, and also about the person who can surpass his limiter. At first, the concept seemed remote to him, but as he heard Homeless Emperor's story, he was able to connect the dots of what Dr. Genus said. At that time, Zombieman was the first person to hear about the creature called God, so that's a piece of credit given to him. Sadly, he wasn't able to probe Homeless Emperor too much about the creature because he committed suicide when he was pinned down. The future holds significant potential for Zombieman as a fighter and a character in the greater One Punch Man storyline. Only time will tell how influential he can be, but we can get hints from the webcomic version of One Punch Man, where he's seen in contact with Dr. Genius trying to break his limiter. I personally feel attached to this character and might make a follow-up video as events unfold in One Punch Man. If you liked the video, do show your support and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.